Hello and welcome back to another Nerf Blaster review video for the channel. My name is Luke Triton and today we are covering the Ultra 2. This is my very first Ultra Blaster and it took a while for me to really convince myself to get anything Ultra related in the first place. But of all the blasters that we have available in the UK, we have 4 I think. This one, the Select, and another one I can't remember what it's called. But of all the blasters, I'm actually really glad that this one in particular is available in the UK because I saw a lot of reviews for this online. Some were mixed, but there were others who were really praising this. And I thought, you know what, let's give this a go. So the Ultra 2 is a rear loading, very cool stuff, cylinder blaster that runs on flywheels and it takes 6 AA batteries. This is kind of, I don't think it's unique, but it's a step in a different direction when it came to Nerf blasters because all semi-automatic blasters in the past only had 4 AA's. This one has 6. I will show you where the battery door is in just a moment. But this purchase ultimately came from a thought of mine. So I've been looking at getting a sidearm for my Nerf gear recently, and I've got another blaster which I've done another video for. Make sure you keep an eye on my channel for that video. But I thought, I don't know what kind of blaster I want. There are a few options out there. The hammer shot is definitely a safe option. Do I go for a Strife just because it's magazine fed, or, I have to carry more magazines? I don't know. What kind of dart do I want to go with? Do I go with the hammer shot because it uses normal darts anyways? Or do I try something like this? Now for me, the key element to this is the fact this is a flywheel blaster. I like my flywheels. This also means I can operate this one-handed in the same way you could use a hammer prime blaster, but this is much easier to get your shots off because it's one-handed. You don't have to reposition yourself to get your thumb onto the hammer to begin with. So there's definitely something interesting going on with this blaster. However, it's Ultra, and holding the Ultra darts for the first time was a very interesting experience. I was able to kind of get a good feel of what this foam actually feels like. These fins on the back, I just love rolling it between my fingers like this. It's not so much massaging, it's just a bit of a bumpy, weird feeling, but I quite like it. The rear loading cylinder is probably one of the best things about this blaster. So this blaster comes with 6 darts and the chamber holds 6 darts. Who would have thunk it? So rear loading really is this simple. You can get 5 of the 6 darts in there. These 2 rear options here, you could squeeze the dart in, but you're bending it ever so slightly. You need to be able to take it out like this. It's a bit, you can feel the dart rubbing against the plastic. So if I were you, just only load 3 at a time using these top 3 holes in the chamber. The blaster itself is very chunky, as you can tell, but it's not exactly front heavy. So the battery door, like I mentioned earlier, is located here. So, making sure you can see it. So it's located here. Now you unscrew this screw, the battery door just slides off, and you put your batteries in lengthways like you would normally. You put that back in, and all of a sudden you can feel that extra weight because of the batteries. Now, holding it like this, it's fine. I can feel the weight, but it's not so much where I'm kind of having my hand drip down. It's a very different feeling to the Elite 2.0 Phoenix. I think overall with the Phoenix, it was just bulkier at the front, but this is balanced just a bit better, to be honest. I could definitely see myself using this for longer periods of time. This is a sidearm, so you're going to be, setting it in a way, even like this. I'm going to put it in my other hand in order to reload it. And then I go to fire it, but even then, that still makes it a lot more manageable compared to the Phoenix. If I was going to be using that in pistol form, reloading the magazine, I'm going to be keeping my hand in this position, so maybe it has that going on for it, but at the same time, this doesn't feel too exhausting. I think with this blaster, you look so much better with 2 hands anyways. It's really cool. I do dig this. On this side, which is the unpainted side, which is something else I want to quickly draw some attention to. Look at the shine. Look at that shine. It's so gorgeous. But because it's Nerf, there's nothing on the other side. Which I don't blame them because this is also the battery door. If that was gold printed and you're getting your hands on it in order to take the battery door on and off, that is going to get scuffed over time, depending on how careful or careless you are with your blasters. So I don't necessarily blame them there. But at the same time, something would have been good. And here is the jam door, which is something I have never had to use with this blaster. I've been playing with this a lot ever since I bought this. I have never once experienced a jam or malfunction of any kind. And yet, when it comes to using this jam door, it's actually not too bad. So I don't know how well you can see because the camera angles are always going to be quite weird, but you can actually see the flywheels. That is actually pinching my fingers because I'm not supposed to put my fingers between two flywheels in the first place. But you can kind of, okay, so right there, good, we're doing good with the camera angles. So that hole is where the darts in the bottom chamber would be fired. So if you were to look this way, obviously the barrel is quite low down compared to how the cylinder is positioned. The dart that's being fired is the bottom one that's basically right there. So yeah, that explains all of that. And it is a very functional blaster. Again, some of the reviews I've seen online for this, when they said they had a mixed experience, they had a jam every now and then. It's interesting to see how it's jamming because mine has worked so smoothly. I will be amazed if my first jam happens live on video. But at the same time, I have no reason to believe that will happen because, again, I've been firing this so many times. It's just so fun to be able to fire this. And the loading mechanism in particular, I just love it so much. So, why not see it fire? So this is a flywheel blaster, so I will give you the volume warning now. So turn the video down just to make sure you're not, in case you're in a room and you don't have headphones on, other people might be, they don't want to listen to this. So to rev, you hold the rev trigger. I will get to the grip and the rev trigger in just a moment, but I really want to fire this blaster now that I've talked about it. And we're going to fire 3 shots to begin with. So revving. Ooh wee. That is a powerful sounding blaster. One thing that is quite amazing, so volume warning again, so I'm going to rev the trigger. Instant shut off because of the access door being open. I think that's really cool. It's a way of shutting up the blaster in an instant compared to just listening to the flywheels rev down. That's really cool. The third dart is over there, just making sure I'm not losing any of my darts. All of the ultra darts I have came with this blaster, so I'm hoping by the end of this video I will still have 6 out of 6. So yeah, that's quite wonderful. Now then, firing that, again, is really fun because it looks and sounds and feels like it's hitting really hard. I sadly can't do any chronograph readings with this blaster because the only chronograph I have is the chrono barrel, and that is fitted for normal elite darts, not ultra darts. So I do apologize on that behalf. So one thing that was quite interesting when it came to holding this blaster, I did talk about this being front heavy, but the grip itself, I suppose, is the balance. It's not too tedious to hold it like this because, the weight is fairly, well distributed. But the grip, I think this takes a bit of getting used to. So I remember rewatching Coop's review for this blaster recently, and he did make a good point. This rev trigger is not the best. And it mainly comes down to, how to swap around again, how the finger is positioned. So you can see here it's a normal, just straight down trigger. Other ones in the past were much smaller and they kind of curved that way, so it's nice and smooth and works with the grip. This, however, if I open that so I'm not actually going to make any more noise, it's quite uncomfortable. That bottom notch, if you just fold it down, I might have to make this modification in the future, to be honest. I'm hesitant to do so because I don't think it's necessary. But after a while, it might have to be made because, yes, I said it was a lot of fun to be able to fire this blaster. I didn't say how it felt. So this, having to constantly hold down and kind of keep in that position, is rubbing up against my finger and it's just not that comfortable. Which is a real shame because if that rev trigger was smoother, I think this will be a much better firing experience overall because there are times where I could definitely feel that indent on my finger. It's not the worst thing ever. It's not making me like shake my hands like, bit of an exaggeration for me to do so now. But I've never had to do that. I just, let go for a moment, just rub my finger a bit, and then we're good to go straight away. At least that's my experience. The grip as well feels quite chunky. If I kind of hold it this way, you can see how my fingers are wrapped around. It's not bad in any way, but I feel like it could do with a bit more length to kind of satisfy that overall feel. It's a bit weird. There's no one position on this grip that my hand feels 100% comfortable in. So the way I am holding it right now, that's about 90%. The fingers are in the right place, but it feels like the blaster is more to the side than it is actually in my hand. If I put the webbing into that back part of the grip first and then hold it that way, it doesn't feel comfortable, but the blaster feels a lot more straightforward facing. It's a bit quirky like that. It's nearly there, but it's not there at all, which is a bit of a shame. And that's probably the only bad thing I have to say about this blaster overall. So this was purchased for £20 in the Entertainer, and this was probably the best time to do so. Now, here in the UK, I might have said this at the beginning of the video, I can never really remember because I say this so many times anyway. Living in the UK, we don't have that many options when it comes to Nerf blasters. This is one of the few we have for Ultra. I'm hoping that new Ultra Speed comes out to the UK. I really hope so because it looks like an absolute beast. This has turned me on for Ultra, so fingers crossed that we get more options in the future. But this, for £20, a rear-loading revolver that's flywheel operated, I would definitely give this a purchase recommendation. It's a very fun blaster, and if you've never touched Ultra before, this is probably one of the better options to get you into Ultra, at least for the UK. We don't have any of the spring options, so we do have our limitations. But at the same time, if you would rather a flywheel blaster for the Ultra line, I'd still say this is probably one of the better ones. The one was not received too well. The Select is pretty cool, but that's quite expensive. This is only £20, so honestly, I'd definitely say that's worth the money. It went from 28 down to 20, so if that offer is still on, I would definitely recommend giving this a go. And you might experience the same thing I did. I, again, was not really into Ultra until I started thinking about the whole sidearm thing, and I thought, let's give this a go, and I really do dig this blaster. It's not up there as a favourite, but oh my god, it's just so much fun. I love this so much. So that is everything I have for this video. Thank you all ever so much for watching. Be sure to keep an eye on my community tab for polls and updates. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and Flickr for some behind the scenes pictures and videos. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next episode. Bye bye.